Welcome back, everybody. It is time to begin our mock draft. We have our picks made, at least team-wise, we're going to do the first 10 picks probably here. John will keep us motoring along. We even have the draft sound effect. I don't know if you guys saw the ESPN story over the weekend of how that came about. Did you guys? It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Such a good story.
It's really neat. I encourage you guys to find it. It's pretty cool how actually they developed because everybody knows that sound effect. Again, if you don't follow the draft, you hear that, like, there it is. All right, so, John, if you could, the draft order, for those that don't remember, we can throw it up here, at least the first 16 picks. And again, like Drew mentioned, there are no duplicates here. The Titans obviously go 1, Browns 2, Giants 3. God, those teams are bad. Patriots 4. I say that as a Jets fan, that we got a couple wins last year. Jacksonville 5, Vegas at 6, the New York Football Jets at 7, Carolina 8, Saints 9, Bears 10. Scott, in your mind, where does the draft begin tonight? Where do things maybe like, oh, okay, this took a different turn?
Well, I think the Jags are going to be a team that could do something people don't expect them to do. According to Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft this morning, Genty would be going there, but he also said Ted McMillan could be an option there, and that feels high for him. But Liam Cohen comes from Bucks. Mike Evans, you draw the connections. Ted McMillan is also a big player. Who knows?
Yeah.
And obviously the Giants are a question mark. Are they really going to pass on Shedeur? That's a huge question mark. But I think at 5, I think that's where it starts.
That's where it starts. All right, so I have the first pick. I do that every year. It's my show, so you guys can yell at me if you want.
This is an easy one.
Have I got it wrong? Have I ever got one wrong?
You know?
What happened the first pick? I think I'm 6 for 6 here.
The odds are what? Minus 10,000?
It's my show. Okay, I do what I want. With the first pick then in the Hot Mic mock draft for 2025, the Tennessee Titans are going to select quarterback Cam Ward from Miami via the University of the Incarnate Word, FCS guy, and also played at Washington State. The intriguing thing about Cam Ward, and you guys can speak to this more than I, that if he was coming out last year, I guess the question is he a first-round pick?
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's a first-round. He's not getting drafted ahead of the 6 guys who got picked last year, correct?
No. I mean, the only argument you could have given him at that point was age over over the Bo Nix and Penixes of the world.
Got it.
That's
Nix
it.
and Penix were both really good too.
Yeah, they're just really good quarterbacks. So and my big question here is he the only quarterback that goes in the first round?
That's the thing. I mean, the Shedeur Sanders talk is obviously out there. I mean, when we were in Boulder, humble brag, we got to see him play. But obviously, the scouts were there. They were certainly looking at Hunter. I think actually they were looking at Gray Zabel, and they were looking at Cam Miller as well. It just seemed like a foregone conclusion that Shedeur was going to be 2 or 3, maybe number 1. And that's certainly, I don't know why the negative steam is out there. And that's maybe we can save that for later when whoever picks him. But it seemed Cam Ward was really darn good. You watch his highlight reel, he was pretty good at Miami.
He's the guy who's going to play year 1. And that's why
that's the thing. The Titans,
they're drafting him.
So they're moving off Will Levis. Is that a foregone conclusion on that?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, he's had 2 years, and he has not really looked good.
The Jets started that, by the way, by breaking off my guy Sam Darnold. If you get 3 years, doesn't work, done. Yep. That's the kind of way it works now. All right, Alex, this is you with the Cleveland Browns with the number 2 pick.
Yeah, speaking of guys you saw in person last year, the Browns, I don't know how you can pass up Travis Hunter. I know they have quarterback questions of their own. Travis Hunter is one of 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys that are blue chip. Like they could be Hall of Famers depending on how their career goes.
Yeah.
The biggest question with Hunter is he's not going to be able to play both sides of the ball right away just because of how quick the learning it is when it comes to the playbooks in the NFL.
See, the Browns have hinted at playing them both at wide receiver a little bit, have they not?
They have.
This?
I think if I were the Browns, what I would do is have him stick at wide receiver, and then you could have him learn third down. You have your own, coverage schemes for those 3rd and longs, passing downs sort of thing, and he can slowly learn as he continues to play in the NFL.
The funny thing is, I mean, obviously his head coach did both to a Hall of Fame level. I'm fascinated to see him play because we saw him, and he flashed a couple times at corner in the game against NDSU. Obviously, he had 3 receiving touchdowns, and this one here was coming right at me. I mean, it's just like, how did he catch the ball? I still have no idea. Jalen Duffy's going to be all over ESPN tonight. He's going to want no part of it, but on that touchdown. But he's phenomenal. He was my vote for the Heisman, and we'll see. All right, Scott, you have the New York Football Giants. What are they going to do? They have no quarterback there either.
Russell Wilson, I don't want to
Drew's
talk
guy,
about
Russell
him.
Wilson. Your guy, Russell Wilson, yeah.
He's terrible. I mean, come on. We're going to ride with Russell Wilson?
They signed Jameis, though, right?
Yeah,
Jameis Winston. They went, the Giants signed him as well.
I think it's crazy for them to pass on Shedeur here, but everything that I've seen says they're passing on him. I guess the hope is that he falls to the back half of the first or top of the second, and they could double dip. I remember a couple of years ago when C.J. Stroud was picked after Bryce Young, there was all the talk right before the draft that they were going to go Will Anderson instead of C.J. Stroud, and I ended up getting both of them, which was kind of wild. So maybe the Giants are trying to do something similar to that where they double dip and get 2 guys, because you can't be that coaching staff and that front office and go into the season with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston thinking that that's a good plan.
In that division, where 3 of those teams, well, Dallas is what they are, but Washington and Philly are what they are.
It's tough. But ultimately, I'm going to say they take Abdul Carter because he is a blue chipper in this draft. I think he's a guy that you want to take there. And I don't think everyone's 100% sold on Shedeur as one of those top prospects. I think people think he could be, but he's not as athletic as Cam Ward. He played at a smaller FBS program in Colorado in, the Big 12. So I think they're going to go Abdul Carter and then try to get back in and get Shedeur later.
You watch his highlight tape from Abdul Carter, he's a constant force in the backfield.
Wrecking.
Anytime you watch Penn State, he was there. And you pair him with Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah.
Now and
Brian Burns.
And that's pretty darn good if you're the Giants. But again, I think for Joe Shane, their general manager, and Brian Daboll, this is it. I don't think they get another draft after this.
Exactly. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe it.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
Okay, so Scott's got Abdul Carter going to the Giants. Dillon, you are up with the New England Patriots, who unbelievably have not been good since Tom Brady left. Stunner. How about that?
Who would have thought?
Yeah, right.
So here's some wild speculation.
I
wouldn't be
love that.
surprised here if the Patriots had an offer from somebody wanting to jump Jacksonville and the Raiders for Ginty here.
Really?
And I think the Patriots, they need everything. Trade back a few spots, not going to hurt them. Get us something in the middle rounds.
They have their quarterback. I think they got that.
Yes,
I think they got their quarterback.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're correct there.
Yeah.
But other than that, they have no offensive line. They have no receivers. I mean, they have a few, but they need a lot.
They beat the Jets last year. I'm going to tell you that.
Well,
Everybody beat the Jets.
Don't take much to beat them. So, of course, we'll keep the trade away, but I wouldn't be surprised somebody tried to jump the other 2 teams after this. So I'm going to go a little bit off script here, too. I'm going to go Armand Membu, Missouri.
I like that guy.
He seems like a stud.
Yeah.
I like his...
He's the guy I think the Jets might.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I know everyone thinks the other offensive tackle, Will Campbell, might go there. I'm going to switch it up. I just think the other... It's toss-up. They're both good. They're both really, first-round players.
All right, I have my asterisk next to that for... remind myself later tonight so Dillon thinks things could get crazy.
I really do. I mean, just somebody wants to get ahead of Jacksonville because there's buzz there. Get ahead of Oakland. Get that running back, and then the Patriots. I think, trade back a few spots, pick up an extra pick. It's not going to hurt them.
Okay, Drew, you have the Jaguars on the clock here.
An
Jacksonville.
interesting team. A new head coach, new general manager. We don't really know what they're thinking.
He's never going to get rid of what he did on that opening day with the Duval. That was just really weird.
I
Liam
just,
Cohen.
And I think I agree with Dillon. This is if you're gonna get in the Genty sweepstakes, this is where you have to jump. Either 4 or 5, because Pete Carroll's a wily guy, and they might go there too. But I think Jacksonville maybe does something mature here and responsible, and they need some pass rush help as well. And so I'm going to go Mason Graham, the junior from Michigan, coming off the board here.
I wanted that guy.
I think that's the pick that makes sense for them a lot.
Yeah.
But I've
we
seen
don't know
so much that they want to go offense with Cohen.
Yeah.
Offensive guy, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D tackle of Michigan. It was just brute
My-
force up there.
My determining factor there is they both these guys have some Rams pedigree to them. And you know what the Rams had forever? Aaron
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Donald. It's like you've got to get that guy. You've got to find that guy.
All right, Alex, you have the Raiders up at 6 with Drew's guy Pete Carroll and Geno Smith now running the show in Vegas.
If I'm Pete Carroll, I'm doing what he did when he met DK Metcalf and took his shirt off in excitement.
If this plays out this way,
plays out,
okay.
Because Ashton Genty is there, and we don't have to jump the Jaguars to 4 to go get him. He's not getting past 6
Okay.
tonight. I think this is where I think Pete Carroll, this is the identity that he wants. I know he has Geno again, but Ashton Genty's just so good, and there are teams that like the Bears. I think that's a team that could jump up and get him, but
You got Ashton Genty here.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, Genty
At 6.
He's so good. I don't know what else I can say.
He's pretty darn good.
I heard this morning he had more yards after contact last year than any other player had rushing yards last year.
That's all right.
That'll work in the NFL, I think.
When Boise played UND 2 years ago, and he only ran for 40-some-odd yards, but he had 3 touchdowns in that game. Like, all right, they were short yardage runs, but you could see some explosiveness that he had. And obviously he did what he did this past season, which was ridiculous, and ran for, 2,600 yards and 29 touchdowns. And it looks like the running back is coming back to the NFL. So that's a good pick. If this happens, then I am rushing to the podium as the New York Football Jets, and I'm taking Tyler Warren right now because I would want that to happen. Now, that's me as my heart, my head. I don't know if the Jets would do that because the Jets never do what I want them to do. But I would say with the 7th pick of the 2025 draft, the Jets would select Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State, who, again, I'm not a great Big Ten mind, but the times I watch Penn State play, he had the ball. I mean, he caught 100 times, and he was running over dudes. And the Jets' offense still needs some pieces there. Again, obviously, quarterback, I think, is going to be Justin Fields, ? I love Garrett Wilson. I want him to get the ball again because Aaron Rodgers somehow didn't get him the ball. Devontae Adams, just get to this guy. He's talented, man. He can make plays down the field. Do it. That's all I got to say, New York. All right. Dillon, you're up with the Carolina Panthers, who they got Bryce Young. Maybe they figured something out there
Yeah,
at the end of last
another
year.
weapon. They have a lot of undrafted players. They don't really have a star. And I think here they try and go for a star.
Okay.
Now, they could do that, or I could see them off, honestly going offensive line too. Will Campbell's on the board here still.
Like that pick.
I could potentially see him doing that. I think it's too high for Ted McMillan still.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do it. I mean, they need, the threats and everything. So I think I'm going to go Will Campbell. If he actually falls this far, I could see him trying to get Bryce Young. I mean, he looked good at the end of last year. Bryce Young really did.
Yep.
Gives him at least another offensive lineman, somebody to hopefully continue to nurture Bryce Young's development.
He's a monster at LSU, and it's always interesting when they cut highlight packages of offensive linemen. I'm like, we're watching one right now. He's big number 70 out there that's not letting the quarterback get touched. That division is so weak.
Yeah.
See something happen there with Carolina. I mean, Tampa's won it the last couple of years, and the Bucs haven't been world beaters is the best way to describe that. Let's do 2 more picks before we go to break here. Drew, you got the Saints, and this is where I think the draft will start because I don't know what New Orleans is going to do.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the first team on the board since Tennessee where you think, okay, is a quarterback realistic here? I think the answer is no. From everything that I've heard, I just don't think that people are that hot on Shedeur Sanders. From what I've read, the Saints have done more work on Jackson Dart than they have on Shedeur Sanders.
The Ole Miss guy, yeah.
And I think if Will Campbell were to be there right before they're picking, their mind is now on offensive line. And they've got to bolster that. They've got to get better at that anyway. So I think that if their head's there, their heart's going to be there when the clock, turns to them. So I'm going to go Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. offensive line.
It was another beast up front.
Yeah.
Dane Brugler had him going at 6 to the Raiders. So if that ends up happening, then like you said, the Saints are jumping up and down if he drops to 9.
And those, I think, are the top 3, or the 3 tackles that could go in the first round. I think 1, 2, 3 to go, top 10. The whole draft, like last year, 15 offensive players went off. The whole defense, it shifted big time. And
Scott, you got the last pick before we go to break with the Chicago Bears at number 10. Yes,
the Bears.
Yes.
They could do a lot of things. I think they're praying to God that Genty falls to them, and
Boy,
then they
holy
want
cow.
probably
please no.
Tyler
Vikings
Warren
fans don't want to be part of that.
could be good too, but excuse me. So with this pick, I think they want to go offensive line, maybe to the defensive side and do a defensive pass rusher or something like that. It's tough. I mean, they're in a good position where they can add a really good player here. I think also a side note, if all those linemen go before the Bears are getting up, I think they may go a different direction here. That's also good for Gray Zabel. I think that helps him go earlier if all those linemen go early too.
Yeah.
They want to add another weapon maybe. I could see Amorian Hampton here, but that seems high for him. I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball. I think they just get the best rusher that they can find. You could argue who that is. Is it Shamar Stewart, Mike Green, Michael Williams? What do they want? I think Michael Williams here seems to make sense. Add another guy on the outside on that defense that can help keep the ball out of the other team's hands, a guy that's got traits that can develop and work alongside Montez Sweat. So I'm going to go there.
He's a freak, too. A Georgia defensive end at 5 sacks last year. You see a little bit of a highlight combo of him. I mean, he's got, what I heard, skinny arms. I don't know what that matters at that spot, but guys, at this time, you're just trying to throw some cold water on some picks. So
with Genty gone, Warren gone, and the 3 best linemen gone, you turn to defense and say, get a playmaker on
Vikings
defense.
fans would love that to happen because they don't want Genty or Tyler Warren going to Chicago, I would imagine, if with pairing with Caleb Williams and what the Bears were flashing there at the end of last year. Okay, so we made 10 picks. We'll break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our first hour and roll through. We still got 20-some-odd picks to make here. The Hot Mic Mock Draft. If only it went this fast in real life, we wouldn't have to sweat it out tonight. Back on the big show right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic Mock Draft, year 6. We are through the first 10 picks with our cavalcade of draft nerds. Alex Berger, WDAY producer, Scott Engen, first news anchor, Dillon Vogt, WDAY meteorologist, and Drew Trafton, forum content director, producer extraordinaire. He used to do TV stuff. Now he's gone to the dark side and on just on the internet. I believe we even woke up Sam. Getzinger's on the road going to Pier, so he's going to make the Colts pick here in just a minute. And I have the next pick up with the San Francisco 49ers. And 49ers just, I think Dillon said it perfectly. We're in break. They need everything. It's crazy considering they're in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And then everything happens where they either get hurt or old or they got to pay guys and have traded everybody. And likely Brock Purdy's going to get paid. George Kittle, according to one report, wants to get paid as the highest paid tight end. They need an offensive lineman, and I'll do it. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to say Gray Zabel is going to the San Francisco 49ers.
There it is.
With
That's
the
Jeremiah.
11th pick.
Yeah.
And I saw it this morning. I trust from the sources that have it. Dillon mentioned Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network. He's going to be all over it for the next 3 days. This would, frankly, I would be stunned if he actually goes at the 11th pick in the draft. Not to say he's not a first rounder, because I think he is, but this is, guys, like how Carson zoomed up. Carson Wentz, and Drew will remember this, when Carson went to the Senior Bowl, much like how Gray went, it just took off. And before I knew it, I was doing reports like, well, he could be a late first-round pick. No, he's going to probably be a mid-first-round pick. And then the Rams and Philly made the trades like, no, Carson's going to be a top 2 pick. And Gray is in that same boat where, well, okay, he's probably going to be a late, maybe early second round like Cody Mauch was, or a late first-round pick. Then he went to the Senior Bowl and kicked everybody's butt, and now he's going to be in the middle of the first round. Now here we're talking top 10, 11 picks. I mean, Holy cow.
The latest mocks that have come out the past 24 hours
Yeah.
have had him top 15,
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
just crazy.
Awesome.
It's
for
his
him.
versatility.
Yep.
It's his
I mean, he's not going to play
athleticism.
tackle at the next level. He's going to be a center, I think. But at that size, he's a really big center. But I think there was some hope for the Vikings to maybe get him at 24.
Yeah.
I think that ship may have sailed by now. I don't think he's going to be there at that pick, right?
No, now with the steam that's
Yeah.
going on this morning, I feel like there's no chance.
I did a mock this morning kind of on First News, and I said Detroit, but at the rate that he's shot up these boards, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like he's going to be gone way before that.
Yeah, the Lions pick at what, 28? I don't
28.
think there's any way he's going to be around. But you never know. That's the craziness of what this night entails. So I'll have Zabel there as the homer pick at 11 to the Niners. Alex, you're up with the Dallas Cowboys. Apparently, Jerry Jones, they're going to have substantive trades that are happening, is what Jones said. Yeah, I don't know what that
Supposedly
means.
they
I don't
went
know what
all
that
in.
means.
Was it last year or this
Yeah,
year?
they went all in, all right.
That that didn't quite work out. Cowboys are an interesting team. It seems like I don't know. They have some pretty glaring needs, like in that aren't really being talked about. I've seen I've seen everything here too. So they're a team that who knows what they're gonna take. I think Jones goes for the home run. It might be too early, but I like Matthew Golden, the wide receiver.
Ooh, okay.
Texas boy.
Yep, staying in Texas.
Okay.
It's a very Jerry Jones pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speed.
So, pick
Loves
the fun,
speed.
fast guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they've always done. It's either the Raiders did that when Al Davis was still running the team. Jerry Jones does. All right, so you've got Golden going there to the Cowboys. Scott, you've got the Dolphins at 13. Miami's in a weird spot, too, because I don't know what they're – is Tyreek Hill going to come back? Is he staying? We don't know, right?
He's due a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's still a good player.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably keep him. But if someone offers them a first for him, why wouldn't you move on, I think. But the Dolphins, like you said, they're kind of in a weird spot. Jalen Ramsey could be on the move, so they need a cornerback. I believe they lost Javon Holland in free agency, so they need a safety. Teron Armstead retired, so they need a tackle. I think they hope Patrick Paul can step in, second-round pick from last year, and maybe play that spot. They need defensive linemen. I think their edges are set with some pretty good edge players, so I don't think it will go that route. But I do think that they're going to shoot for a big upside guy. The offensive linemen that I would like for them seem to be gone. The Will Johnson senior year injuries and things kind of gives me a thought that he might slip a little bit. Jahdae Barron to me seems like too small to be a pick that is this high. So I'm going to go with the high upside defensive line pick in Walter Nolan from Ole Miss.
Okay.
I think that they need a guy in the middle who could dominate. And I think that Walter Nolan is a prospect that has a lot of potential. He's a little bit polarizing as a prospect. Some people love him, some not as much.
Yeah.
But I think the Dolphins could use a guy like him in the middle.
See, the ESPN mock has him at 8 to Carolina. So if he drops there, that's Miami's got to be celebrated on that. So Ole Miss's Walter Nolan going to the Dolphins at 13. All right. We have to wake him up. He's on the road to Pierre, South Dakota. Normally he's done this the last couple years with us. Our intrepid reporter, Sam Getzinger, joins us on the road as he gets set for the big extravaganza tonight. Are you ready to roll, my man? What's going on?
I'm ready. We are in, I don't know exactly where, South Dakota.
You and geography, we're not going to go down that road, okay? Let's not do that.
Curling towards Pierre, South Dakota, so that's all I can ask for. I broke the navigation system in the car already, so we don't really know what's going on.
Give us a lowdown. What do you got planned for tonight? What can you tell viewers that are going to be checking out the news? What do you got planned?
We're getting down there. We should be down there around 2:30, 3 o'clock or so. Planning on chatting with a bunch of people, Gray being one of them. We'll talk to his family as well.
Awesome.
And then we'll get stuff ready for, we'll be live in the 5 o'clock news. We'll be live a couple of times in the 6. And then we're camping out. We're hunkering down. We're hoping for an 11th pick for Greg Table. And then we'll talk to him and we'll be live again in the 10 o'clock news. And of course, we'll have everything up on inform.com as well. So we're hoping early pick. That would be ideal. That would be a lot of fun. And we'll be there. If he doesn't go today, for some reason he doesn't go today, we'll be here tomorrow too.
Okay.
So That's the plan.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. You want to make the Colts pick? You've done this over the last couple of years. You want to take Indianapolis' selection tonight?
Yeah, well, like I told you earlier, I've been dozing in and out to start the show here. So is Tyler Warren still on the board?
Tyler Warren is not still there. The Jets took him, of course.
Okay. All right. Well, in that case, we need a tight end badly. We have the worst tight end room in the NFL right now. Is Colston Loveland still on the board?
He is available. You want to take the best name in the NFL draft.
We're going to go with Colston Loveland, who I will say will have a better NFL career than Tyler Warren will. That's my hot take for the show.
I love it. All right, Matt. Safe travels, and we'll see you later tonight, okay?
No problem. We'll talk to you later.
There he goes. Sammy G on the road. All right, boys. What do you make of this pick of Colston? I love, first off, he's got a great name. And I think, Scott, over the last little bit, there's been some buzz that he might be the better of the two tight ends. Is that accurate?
I think it depends on exactly what you're looking for in that tight end, but I think there's quite a few teams that think that he could be a better receiving tight end than Tyler Warren. I think Warren is more your bulky type of tight end who's going to be a better blocker potentially.
You
but
watch his
Colston
highlight reel.
Loveland,
Yeah, watch his highlight reel, man. He's really good.
He looks like an effortless receiver.
Yeah.
He's big, and according to some stuff I've seen, Denver really likes him. I know they signed Evan Ingram, but Evan Ingram is getting a little bit older. He's been injury prone. I don't think that deters them from getting Colston Loveland. If he falls to 20, I think you could almost lock Colston Loveland in as a Bronco. I've seen them trading up with the Colts to get Colston Loveland.
Okay.
So
that's what you're pining for?
We'll see. I personally don't know that I would want them to do that, but I wouldn't argue with it if they did it. I think if Sean Payton wants to do it, go for it. I trust him at this point.
All right, so Sam's got Colston Loveland to the Colts at 14. Dillon, you've got the Atlanta Falcons and your guy Kirk Cousins. Although I don't know what is Atlanta doing. I have no idea.
I just ask Atlanta, please don't be dumb. Last year they needed a pass rusher. All of them were on the board. You know what they did?
They
They
took Michael Penix,
which in hindsight it looks better now.
It worked out, right?
But last year they were second to last in sacks. Only the Patriots, which they need a lot of help too. And they have these somewhat offensive weapons. They need defensive line. They need defensive line. And so here, the best one on the board, or I guess you could argue between Mike Green and Shamar Stewart. We're going to take Shamar Stewart and call it a day.
All right. Shamar Stewart there going to Atlanta with the Falcons. Again, that whole division, somebody's got to get a handle on what's going on in that. It's just whoever matches up. I don't know what division has the NFC South and the AFC this year. I don't think the AFC East does. If you do, you cheer for that. That's what you want. You want the NFC South as your cross-divisional matchup for this year. Okay. So that's Shamar Stewart going to Atlanta from Texas A&M. ESPN has him at 17 to the Bengals. So right in that area is what we're thinking. Drew, you've got the Arizona Cardinals up next year. I know you love picking for a division rival in the NFC West.
So let's look at some punters, huh? No, we're gonna be sticking on defense because Jonathan Gannon, he has that Philadelphia pedigree. He's getting comfortable now in Arizona. They were a frisky team last year.
Yep.
And I think he's going to be generating. He's going to be looking to generate some pressure with this pick, and with all of these guys coming off the board, you can go to the guy who had more sacks than anyone else in college football last year for Marshall and Mike Green.
Okay.
So I think they're going to draft Mike Green, defensive end out of Marshall.
The Thundering Herd. I like that pick there to Arizona. Arizona was one of those wonky teams that would go and beat. I mean, they were 8-9 last year. That's why they're picking where they're at. But they would have moments that look really good, and other moments
really
like
good.
Call of Duty.
Kyler,
it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Boy, you're gonna go land that joke. He said he's not doing that.
Well.
All right. I've got Cincinnati at 17, and I love my guy Joe Burrow. My other guy Cordell Volson. I got a little inside intel here, so I'm just gonna tell you right now. They're drafting an offensive lineman because they have to protect their multi-million-dollar man. They moved on from a couple guys as well. I think they're taking Tyler Booker, who's the guard from Alabama. They got to, first off, he played at Alabama. He's got to be pretty good. They have to find a way to protect Burrow. They paid Higgins. They paid Jamar Chase. They have to keep Joe Burrow upright. I think that's kind of, I don't know if that's an easy pick there, but I'm going with Booker from Alabama to the Bengals. All right, Drew, your beloved Seahawks. You've gotten this 3 out of 4 years. You've nailed the Seahawks pick.
I'm going to honor our board as it's set up because I think
really,
and from everything I've heard, I think that they would look at interior offensive line if a Gray Zabel was still on the board. If a Tyler Booker was still on the board, they'd look at that. But they've also said a lot that they're looking at best player available, and if Jalen Walker is on the board at this point, Mike McDonald is going to be drooling. And so I think if the board sets up like this, I'm going to go Jalen Walker.
Okay. That's the kid from Georgia who's pretty darn good.
Yeah, take that linebacker.
ESPN mock has him at 7 to the Jets, which I guess I wouldn't be upset about that either. But, Jets defense is all right. But I'm all right. That would be a heck of a pick. Again, Seattle had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
How would you characterize Seattle's year?
It was a positive year.
Okay.
And I think all the changes that they've made are really interesting. And I think that tells me that they're confident in their game plan.
Yeah.
I could see Zabel going here. I could see Tet McMillan going here. But if Jalen Walker's on the board, he's coming off.
Seahawks were 10-7 last year and just missed out. All right, Alex, you've got Tampa Bay. Now we're into the playoff teams here. Obviously, the Bucs won the NFC South. They lost to Washington in the wild card game last year. They gave Baker his money.
Yeah, Drew kind of took my selection with Jalen Walker. That's one of Tampa Bay's biggest needs this offseason. So we're going to pivot to cornerback.
Okay.
I know there's some injury concerns with Will Johnson, but he's the best on the board right now. It seems like a pretty easy pivot, slam dunk pick as long as he can get healthy.
Okay. Will Johnson there going to Tampa Bay with the 19th overall pick, corner out of Michigan. Seeing a couple different mocks, had him at 23 to Green Bay. Had a couple picks last year. Again, that Michigan team, we look back, that won the national championship that J.J. McCarthy was the quarterback of in 2023. That's going to be, what do they have? How many first-rounders they have last year? 6? They had something crazy like that out of that Michigan team. And they got at least a couple more. They're going to be on the 2025 draft. Okay, so Will Johnson, corner out of Michigan, going to Tampa Bay at 19. All right, buddy boy, you have nailed the Broncos picks. You can brag about that to everybody. It's on television, so you can capture that as well. You got the Broncos at 20. What are they doing here?
Last year, got to toot my own horn. Bo Nix last year.
I
called
you did it.
I don't think it was out of nowhere. I think that was a rumbling that could happen.
It was out of nowhere to me. When you said it, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then obviously it ended up being right.
Yeah, obviously I followed them close, so I heard about it a lot more. But it sounded like that was what they were going to do, and I thought maybe they'd try to trade back and kind of do something cute like that.
The Falcons helped you out on that.
Yeah, they did. So they took them, and it's worked out pretty well to this point. Now we got to give that guy a weapon. The offense is pretty bare. They got rid of, I think, all their running backs. So running back is certainly in play, but I think that they'll wait and take one running back in second or third round. Okay. If you could get like a Travion Henderson or Quinshon Judkins in the second round,
they're both really good.
Please give me that. I think Omarion Hampton is a fine running back, but I think they'll pass on that here. I also think this could be a spot where the Giants or the Browns trade up and jump the Steelers to get Shedeur. And in that case, Denver moves back, and then they get their running back at the top of the second round. So I think that's certainly in play. But with the way the board has fallen here, Tedero McMillan still on the board.
Yeah. Oh, that seems unfair.
Give me the 6'4" receiver. Sean Payton loves big receivers. All the guys that they have besides Mims, big guys. Devon Vele is big. Cortland Sutton is big. They like those big body receiver. Put him on the field and let him make plays. Give me Tedero McMillan, and I'm going to do a cartwheel.
Ted McMillan is a guy that another one, little brag, saw him play for Arizona when they played the Bison and he was like their third wide receiver that year. This is 2 years ago. And I remember when I saw my first mock, I'm like, I know that guy. And like but like Dorian Singer was there, a kid from Minnesota who got the ball a lot, and they had another weapon who ended up transferring out of Arizona. He's a big dude.
Oh yeah,
he's big.
Last year, I think it was Jared. We picked Jared Verse to the Rams, which came to fruition. And the second it came out of whomever's mouth, I was like, "Don't like that," because that's like a great pick. And this feels exactly like that, where it's like that would put the rest of the league like at a like it's just like whoa that's a shifting draft selection. I think if that comes.
Dane
to pass.
Brugler from The Athletic has McMillan at 12 to the Cowboys, which again fits what you did earlier. That again, that seems like something Jerry Jones would do, is to get another weapon, big guy like that for Dak Prescott. All right, Dillon Vogt, you have the most intriguing pick of the night, which is the Steelers at 21, because everybody thinks Pittsburgh's going to draft a quarterback, right?
Yeah, Drew and I were talking about this a little bit before the show.
Yeah.
I think Shador falls out of the first. I think they go Jackson Dart here.
Really?
I just-
Jackson Dart goes here.
I think so. I mean, I
Really?
don't see Mike Tomlin and the Sanders family getting along. I know that's kind of a thing, but like it actually is a thing.
Mm.
And I feel like Jackson Dart is just more of somebody that Tomlin would like. And it's a hot take. I could be completely wrong. Shador could go 3 to the Giants.
Yep.
But I just think Jackson Dart is something that they go over Shador if he's still there.
That is the best quarterback name I've heard in a long time, right?
Throwing darts.
That's the guy. So Dillon's got Jackson Dart, quarterback, going to the Steelers with the 21st overall pick. There's more smoke than that than I think people are probably. Brugler's got the Giants making a trade with the Rams and taking him at 26, going back to what you were talking about previously there. So Jackson Dart from Ole Miss to the Steelers at 21. Let's break. We come back. I think we can wrap this up here and get everybody back to work on time. We'll come back, do the final 10 picks of the first round. The Chargers are up next. The Vikings are coming up as well. Got the Lions, and then the really good teams at the back end. We'll do that as the mock draft rolls on Hot Mic right after this. Back, everybody. We are into the final 10 picks here of our Hot Mic mock draft. It's, as Drew said, if it's playing out, is this close to how you maybe foresee this happening tonight?
I think it's realistic. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to happen exactly, because I do think, and I think we've hammered this, and I think we're going to be correct. Somebody's going to move up into the top 10. Maybe 2 teams move up into the top 10, but I think one pick will be for Genty, and then I think after that we could see some priorities shift on these teams. But I could see it playing out like this if everybody stays home, and there are no like grandfather deals or godfather deals that move draft capital around. Yeah, I could totally see something like this happening.
Email comes into the show, and this is good for all of us TV nerds. Dom, who's better at hosting, Rich Eisen or Mike Greenberg? Well, that's a good question. I'll throw it. I'm not going to get anybody in trouble because the draft's on WDAY tonight. What do you guys watch? You watch NFL Network? You watch ESPN? Does it matter?
I've always been an ESPN.
ESPN?
guy. Yep.
I'm not a fan of Greenberg, though.
I like.
I don't like
Network.
I
like
Eisen. So
Eisen.
you like Eisen? Okay.
Yeah, NFL Network all the way. I just like them better.
So I liked Eisen with Mayock. They were great. I have not watched. David Shaw was really good when the Stanford coach. They brought him on. I've not watched yet with him and Daniel Jeremiah because I'm still traditional with ESPN, like Alex is saying. What about you?
I'm also NFL Network.
Okay.
Yep, that's
fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I love ABC. I'll be
watch ABC.
I'm on
watch
ABC the next hour and a half. I love ABC.
ABC.
But Rich Eisen.
I like it when they have the game day. Guys.
Suddenly, you don't need to do the 11 o'clock. You need to go.
Yeah,
You need to go upstairs.
It's over.
Take your time, Dylan. I like it when they have the game day. Guys.
Yeah, that's
like
a good
that
point
ABC
because they
crew.
have the alternate broadcast that's on ABC tonight with Reese Davis and Herbie and Desmond Howard and and Saban's on there now. So that's that's really good.
Yeah, and they do such a good job. I mean, they know those college players so well, and that I like seeing it from that end of things, of these guys being celebrated for this accomplishment, this once in a lifetime accomplishment.
All right. Appreciate that email. All right. So we're back on. I have the Chargers at 22 with Jim Harbaugh there. Of course, they made the playoffs. They lost to the Texans in the first round. I think they're going to upgrade defense. Harbaugh's got his guys on offense. I'm taking Kenneth Grant, the D tackle out of Michigan.
He's going to take his own player. Totally.
Of course he will, right?
That's such a
the
Harbaugh
guy,
move.
right?
Yeah.
He knows better than anybody. So I'm going to stay close to home there with Kenneth Grant to the Chargers at 22. I'm doing this to torment you as a Viking fan. You have to make the Packers pick at 23 here.
This will probably be the most cheered for selection tonight just because the draft is in Green
Location,
Bay.
yep.
Curious to see how they handle the hundreds of thousands of people.
Where are they staying, by the way?
Milwaukee.
Yeah. That's what I was telling Eric. Like, where's everybody going? I know Green Bay's not that big. They have 300,000 people there. Where everybody's staying?
I don't know. It's going to be a good time. Green Bay
Yeah.
is fantastic. I'd say if you haven't made the trip to Lambeau, do it.
How many times have you been?
Just once.
Just once?
But it was.
Okay.
I'm planning to go again this year.
Nice.
So, it's as nice as US Bank is. It's nowhere near just the atmosphere of Lambeau. Yeah, I'll be nice to the Packers fans out there. Jair is probably going to leave. They need someone to replace him. They missed out on Will Johnson, who I picked for the Bucks a couple of picks ago. They'll take Jade Barrett.
Okay.
Could be, you could make an argument he's a top 10, top 15 talent in this year's draft. He's super fast. He ran a 4.4 40. He can play everywhere, man, zone. They've lined him up in the slot. He just seems like a good fit for the Pack.
So the corner from Texas goes to Green Bay. All right. You and Alex can use some brain power here on the Vikings pick.
So the biggest thing with the Vikings tonight, I do not want them to pick. I want
you
them to
want
trade
them to trade
back.
out, so you do not want,
Especially the way the board is falling right now. I absolutely love Kenneth Grant. And since the Chargers just took him in this fantasy, I think he's a fantastic athlete. He's going to be a stud for a long time. So my first stop should be trade out. We're not doing that, though.
Okay.
Alex, what do you think? I'm not too high in the safeties, but
You're wearing Harrison Smith jersey over there. He's 900 years old.
Well,
so.
and he's probably has 1 or maybe 2 years left. I like safety. Both the top ones are on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle, is still there. He'd be great to, as I said at the top of the show, get some youth back into the inside defensive line. Any of those three I'd be happy with.
Let's do safety. I think safety. Let's do Malachi Starks.
Okay.
That'll work.
All right. This seems like a very Mike Zimmer pick, by the way, to take a defensive back.
This time it'll work.
Hopefully.
I like
Fingers
that.
crossed.
Let's do one last pick here before we break, and then we'll do our final picks here to get everybody out on time. Scott, you've got the Houston Texans
I do.
at 25.
All right, I think all logic says they should go offensive line. They traded away Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
I think they plan on having Blake Fisher, it was a second-round pick last year, play one of those tackle
Plus,
spots.
their O-line was not good last year.
No.
Stroud was, I
wasn't.
thought Houston was going to be like and so did the NFL. I think the Texans were on TV, seemed like 18 times last year. They were
So
on
were
all
the
the
Jets.
time.
And I think
Well, we know why.
I think Josh Simmons and Josh Connerly are potential picks here for sure. Simmons coming off an injury is a little bit, we'll see what happens with that. Josh Connerly, I think, is pretty good, but we'll see. I see a guy on the board that I've been with this pick through the process since I started doing mocks back in February. When I say something just seems to make sense, just go for it. Emeka Egbuka to Houston.
Okay.
I think they want another receiver. He played with Stroud, Ohio State connection.
Yeah.
Just go with it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Maybe another
One
guy.
thing to that, I think a Vikings trade partner would become, because they want to beat the Texans, to Emeka Egbuka. So I think if somebody were to trade the Vikings, it'd be to jump the Texans, get that wide receiver.
To get him, you're saying?
To get
I
Egbuka,
see what
get
you're
ahead
saying.
of the Texans.
Okay.
And then hopefully the Vikings can
so
trade
the Vikes
back.
are saying in a position of strength to move. I see what
Because the
you're saying.
Texans are going to want a receiver.
Okay.
So that's
all
my
right.
thinking.
Those Ohio State wide receivers are okay. They're proven
They
to
do
be
all
all
right.
right. So, all right, we'll take a break. We come back. We will do our final picks here. We've got the Rams, Ravens, all the good teams. Lions, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles coming up. We'll wrap up the Hot Mic mock draft after this. All right, we've reached the home stretch here of the 6th annual Hot Mic mock draft. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks, and we're right before the news, so that's good. I believe this is a tradition as well that Drew Trafton picks the Rams every year. The diehard Seahawk fan that you are. What does McVay have in store here at 26?
Well, I think if McVay were looking at this board and seeing all of his needs, which are, I think, mostly offensive line, cornerback, he would be comfortable waiting to draft those guys a little bit later. And the Rams actually have draft capital, which
finally,
they very rarely do. So I think they're gonna take a stab at this one and address their other need, which is their quarterback situation with an aging Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Who is on the fence about coming back.
Yep.
And so I think they're going to go Shadur Sanders here if the board falls this way.
All right.
I think they're going to shock the NFL world.
Do you think if Shedeur goes earlier, they take another quarterback like Jackson Dart?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think that McVay probably likes that skill set.
Yep.
Could develop him for a year, maybe 2 years.
Huh.
Makes it's just the way our board fell. Like it
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
stacked up that way where it's like I could see him doing that. He's a mad scientist.
Why do I not know who the Rams' second wide receiver is behind Puka now?
Puka?
Because Cooper's gone.
Devontae.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Devontae
oh,
Adams.
that's right.
Yeah.
Why can't the Jets find players like him? That's great. Shedeur, wow. Now that's a spot that Dion would sign off on, I think though.
so,
That would
yeah.
be one if that actually came to fruition. All right, I've got the Ravens at 27. This is like, I don't know what they need. They are really good in a lot of spots. They got a ton of stuff. I'm going to add on the back here, on the back end. I'm going to go cornerback, Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky. I'm going to take help out next to Kyle Hamilton there on the secondary for, by the way, why didn't the Vikings draft him? You're defending, you got all mad at me on Quasey. They could have taken Kyle Hamilton, you know.
Yeah. But that was to be fair.
No, there's no fair. No,
that
there's
was
no
his first
rebuttal.
draft with his scouts he
Oh, I
fired
don't
a
wanna
few months
hear
later.
it.
Doesn't
Oh,
count.
wow.
Doesn't count.
I got Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky going to the Ravens. You've got the Detroit Lions. I know I don't hate you. I just like to see you twisted with taking
Suffer.
NFC North. I was going to say Central. NFC North guys.
Yeah, I did the same. Well,
Didn't you do the Lions last year?
that sounds right.
I think you did.
Yep. No, when I'm in these spots, I like picking the players that I would want on the Vikings or the players that I would hate the Lions taking. This is one of those. The Lions, I think they'll look. I mentioned this earlier, but the Eagles, how they built up their interior defensive line, and
Dylan's freaking out.
no.
Derek Harmon
No.
is sitting right there.
I knew it. Yeah, that scares me.
Just
Monster from Oregon.
monster
Yeah.
defensive tackle you can stick next to Aleem McNeil, who he may take some time getting back. He tore his ACL late in the season,
Yeah.
so once those two are at full strength, how are you going to run against that defensive line?
Yeah, the Lions defensively, just that game with Washington, just totally exposed. I know they got hurt at the back end too, but boy, they had that. That
was a shame.
Yeah, I know you were really broken up about that. Scott, you've got the next pick here with the Washington Commanders, who blew up the NFL last year, were a game away from going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they're a team that's ahead of schedule by
No
a
doubt.
long shot. And I think
this is what happens like your team. When you get your quarterback pick right, boy, everything can just take off from there.
I think they're happy with their guys, Brian Robinson. I think they can
that's
get
a good
more
pick.
out of him and Eckler as a combo. I think they like that.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
Austin Eckler too.
I would
God
say
darn it.
Amarion Hampton here also wouldn't surprise me, but I think they have more pressing needs on their defensive side where they want to build. I'm looking at two names that are sitting on the board right now, Nick Emanwari and Jihad Campbell, and I think those are both players that could certainly fit in and play right away for them. Jihad Campbell had a little bit of a shoulder injury, it sounds like, that might be affecting his draft stock, and I think if that wasn't the case, he'd have gone much higher than this, and for that reason, I'm going to give them Jihad Campbell here. Comes in, he could play beside Bobby Wagner, learn from him, one of the best of the generation for linebackers, and be an impact player for them down the line. So I'm going to go Jihad Campbell.
Okay. So Jihad Campbell from Alabama going there to the Commanders at 29. Dillon, you have the Buffalo Bills with the 30th overall pick.
Yeah, they need defense.
Could see that.
Yep. I would go I'm really between Trey Amos and Siobhan Revel. I love Siobhan Revel. His obviously last year he was injured out most of the year, but I think that guy's going to be a stud. I would love to see him on the Vikings, but I'm going to put him on the Bills. So Siobhan Revel. To the
Okay.
Bills.
Revel goes there, 30th to Buffalo. All right, Drew, you've got Kansas City.
Yeah.
They didn't forfeit their team. They're still around. So
Right.
Chiefs of 31.
I'm not going to overthink this. I think you just protect Pat Mahomes, right? I mean,
That seems like it would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
There's still some good depth here at this offensive tackle position that's left on the board. I mean, the top guys are gone, but kind of thinking to go Josh Connerly from Oregon
Yeah,
here.
that's exactly what Daniel Jeremiah has with that. Yep.
You know, yeah. I mean, like he kind of has an injury history. He might have been a little bit like higher of a ceiling guy, if not for that, kind of like how Scott was talking about Jihad Campbell. So I think it's Connerly.
Okay. All right, so that's pick 31. So now we're left with the Eagles in 32. What does Philadelphia need? They just won the fucking Super Bowl, right?
New
Right?
telephone poles.
They definitely need those. Absolutely. They got quarterback. Running back fell to them. Never going to understand that. Where's Pointer? I'm going to yell at them. But the Giants gave away
Oh, the Giants.
Saquon Barkley to Philly. Wide receiver, they seem like they're okay there. Offensive line, is offensive line a need? I don't think so, right?
Is Nick Amon-Worry still out
Yeah,
there?
Yes,
that's
he
the one I
is.
was. That's the one I was
He's just-
looking at.
He's so good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
It's always who falls into the lap of
Yeah.
the Eagles.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen here because I'm going to take him. Nick Amon-Worry is the last pick of the first round. Safety from South Carolina. Brugler, by the way, Dillon, has the Vikings taking him at 24th
I
overall.
could see that. You know, if it follows that way, either safety. I'm really
Yeah.
okay with both of them. I pick Starks.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them I
Yeah.
think could be.
Interchangeable?
Yep. I
Okay.
think they have potential to be long-term starters. Hopefully, it's not a Scene Hamilton issue. We have but that's what we thought at the time too. Scene and Hamilton worked hand in hand.
That's true, and
So-
obviously what went down there. All right, so there you have it, folks. The mock draft is complete. Just we'll go through the top 10 picks real quick. Cam Ward to the Titans, Travis Hunter to the Browns, Abdul Carter to the Giants. I really believe that's going to happen tonight. I think that's probably a lock. After that, Armand Membu to the Patriots at 4, Mason Graham to the Jags at 5, Ashton Genty to the Raiders at 6, Tyler Warren to the Jets at 7. The Panthers take Will Campbell with the 8th pick, Kelvin Banks to the Saints at 9, and Michael Williams to the Bears at 10. All right. I'm getting 1 minute here before we go to break, so you guys got to get to work. So I'll let you go first because you actually have a show to do. Anticipation for the Vikes tonight. What do they do, and what will make you jump up and down with excitement if who they pick?
Any defensive tackle or safety,
Okay.
really. Early in the draft process, there was the inkling of hope that they could trade up for Ashton Genty when
Yeah.
he was in the middle rounds,
Yeah,
but
it ain't
that
happening
is
anymore.
not going to
Yeah.
happen tonight. No, it'll be I expect it to be a less exciting draft than last year's, just because they
Last
had
year was
two first
pretty
round
cool. Yep.
picks. It was pretty great, but no, I'm excited no matter what happens.
The recreation, can you do that of what KOC did when Kwesi told him that we got Dallas Turner? That meme was fantastic. That was so good. That was so good.
The whole thing, yeah.
What do you want to see tonight?
I want him to trade back.
Okay.
I really do. Get something, a second,
You're
a
no
third,
fun.
2 seconds. The Vikings, they need depth, and they need a few different things on defense, I think. And if they went back and got 2 players that could be starters versus 1 player that, maybe is a starter,
Yeah.
I just like the odds better that way.
Guys, this was awesome. Scott and Drew, you guys can stick around if you want. If you want to get out of here. I know you guys got to do the 11. Thanks so much for doing this. Another year of this was fantastic. And we'll see. We'll tweet the picks out, and we'll see who can slam dunk that we're right tonight, okay?
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for having us. Remember to watch WDOI News at 11.
There you
right
go.
here
Yes,
on WDOI
yes,
Extra.
Don't turn the
exactly.
channel.
Do not turn the channel. Thanks, guys. We'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up and get you ready for one of the great sports nights of the year. Hot Mike wraps right after this.